Today I want to talk about the leader's mindset. Have you ever seen that individual who was outstanding within their job and all of a sudden they get that big promotion into a leadership role and all of a sudden, within weeks, they start to fail? Today I want to talk about how you move from simply being in a position to progressing towards results. I've seen it time after time over the many years that I've worked at different companies and in the years that I've been in a leadership role. I've seen these outstanding performers, these individuals who performed very well at the job that they were responsible for. They showed up to work every day. They showed up on time. They met the expectations of the role. They had a positive attitude and they achieved outstanding results. Very often they exceeded expectations. They were rewarded generously. But then all of a sudden, they get promoted. They get that offer letter. And within months, sometimes weeks, in that new leadership role that they were all excited about, they start to fail. And the question is, why did they start to fail? That person who was an outstanding performer as an individual, how now in the leadership role do they start to fail? And that's where the gap exists. The leadership mindset gap. The gap between where you are and where you want to be. So as a leader, ultimately where you want to be is you want to meet the expectations of that role, but ultimately you want to get outstanding results, whether it's increasing sales, decreasing costs, improving, employee morale, whatever that case may be, you want to get results. But the problem is, now that we become a leader, we're starting to fail, and the question is why? And what most people don't understand when they move into a leadership role, and what most leaders don't understand, even after having been in a leadership role for months, sometimes years, is the gap. So let's talk about that gap. Where are you today? Think about that. Everything you've done up until now has led to this point of where you are today. Your experiences, your results, your achievements, that's where you are today. So let's look at that as the starting point. So if that's the starting point, when I become a leader, now all of a sudden I'm held accountable to a much higher standard, because now I'm not just achieving results for myself as an individual, but I'm expected to receive or achieve results for a team. So before, as an individual, I was only responsible for myself. So I had full control of the situation because the only person who I had to influence was me. But the day that I signed that offer letter, without even realizing it, as I become a leader, as I move into that promotion position, now I have the status, now I'm making all that money. The day that I signed that offer letter, what most people don't realize when they become leaders and they sign that letter, essentially you're signing up for trouble. Because as a leader, you're signing up for conflict, you're signing up for pressure, you're signing up for deadlines, you're signing up to be in circles that you've never been present in the past. Now you're dealing with senior leadership, you're dealing with executives, you're dealing with the CEO. That's the new pressure and the trouble that comes with being a leader. So when you are moving into a leadership role, the mindset has to change, because as an individual, who were you responsible for? You were responsible for you. But now that you've moved into a leadership role, you're not just responsible for yourself and the work that you perform. You are responsible now for not only your work, but the work of the team who reports into you. So now you are expected to get results, not just for yourself on your own, but you're expected to get results through people. So that gap, that leadership gap, that mindset that exists between where you are today and ultimately where you want to be, which is your results, that gap can be summarized in one word, and it's people. Your job as a leader is not just about having a position and enforcing the position and giving people instructions. That's not leadership. Leadership can be defined in one word, and you probably have heard this very often, but leadership is about influence. How do you get that group of people now who is reporting into you to move forward, to progress, and to do the things that they're expected to do, to meet their expectations, and to help them get results? It's a big difference. It's a big shift in mindset. And that's where most leaders fail. And I've seen it over and over again. So it's closing the gap by realizing that now you are not only responsible for yourself, but you're responsible for influencing people. So when you operated strictly as an individual, where you were only responsible for yourself and your work, you were a doer essentially. But the day that you signed that offer letter and you agreed to become a leader, you move from doing to coaching. You're no longer just doing the job anymore. You're no longer just rolling up your sleeves and doing all the work. I'm not saying that completely goes away, but now you have to understand that you cannot do all the work on your own. Because if you have a team, you have a team for a reason. Because there are so many responsibilities to perform and so many expectations and so many different results that need to be achieved that you cannot possibly do it on your own. And time again, I've seen people move into leadership roles thinking, if I just put in more hours, if I just work harder, then maybe I'll get to those results. But the fact of the matter is, you can put in all the hours you want, you can work as hard as you want, and the only thing that's going to happen is you're going to burn yourself out. Because if you don't have the mindset of, now that I'm a leader, I'm not just doing the work, but I am becoming a coach and getting results, not just through myself, but through my team. If you don't make that switch in mindset, you will burn yourself out. So a leader isn't just a doer, they are a coach. And think about it. Think about a professional boxing fight. There's a difference between the boxer in the ring who is actively in the fight versus that coach or that trainer or that manager who's on the outside of the ring, who's watching the fight. The fighter's perspective is very limited to the fighter and the circumstances that confronts him or her. However, that coach can see the bigger picture and they can see different movements, not only from their fighter, but from the opposing fighter. So it's a different viewpoint, and a different viewpoint provides a different form of communication, because now you are not just doing, which is the fighter in the ring, but you are coaching. You are presenting different options to that fighter in terms of how they can move forward, how they can back up, how they can move around that ring. It is a much different perspective. So as a leader, you move from being that fighter in the ring to being the coach on the outside of the ring, who now sees the bigger picture and can see the way people operate, see how they collaborate together, see how they work between different departments. That's true leadership. Being able to not just stay stuck within your own silo, but now being able to collaborate with your team, being able to collaborate with other teams and be part of a larger ecosystem, a larger infrastructure. That's the work and the job of a leader. Another central point in that gap, when I talk about people, when I talk about where you are today and where you want to be, which is ultimately results. When we talk about people, it's about moving from authority to influence. So think about this for a second. Imagine you have 10 people reporting into you today. And now, the reason that they report into you and the reason that they do the things that they do for you is because they know that they're going to get a paycheck, at the end of the week because of it. But now, let's eliminate all that. Let's create a hypothetical situation. Let's assume that there is no paycheck. If there was no paycheck, if there were no rewards, would those 10 people who report into you today, or however many people it is, it might be 2 people, might be 10, might be 20, would those people report into you today if there was no benefit? Most people who I've talked to over the years, especially in leadership roles, have told me resounding, no, they would not. And that's the problem. And the fact of the matter is, as a leader, you're not expected to be people's friends. You are expected to be friendly. You are expected to treat people with respect. But as a leader, you have to get results through people. And that involves influence. So when you think about those 10 people, if they are not receiving that compensation in order to follow you, then why would they follow you? And the fact of the matter is, when you're dealing with people, at the heart of dealing with people, it comes down to another one word. And that one word is relationships. If you are going to get people to follow you for you as a leader and to respect you as a leader, it's about building those relationships. And at the core of that relationship is trust. People follow you because they trust that you can guide them and coach them and mentor them and lead them to a destination. They're not following you simply because you have a title. They're following you because of the influence that you have. Are you able to create a belief in them that you can get them from where they are today to where they need to be? Do they believe that you can get the department and the company, whatever your role is within that company, to where it needs to be, which is ultimately those results, whatever those results may be? And if they don't believe in you as a leader, if they don't trust you, then you really don't have influence. So as a leader, you have to focus on influencing people. And influencing people means taking the time to build relationships. Get to know these people. Get to know your people. That's critical. Get to know your people. Their likes, their dislikes. Doesn't mean you have to become best friends with them. But you got to get to know them. Get to know the strengths, the areas of opportunity. Get to know how people work together, how they communicate together. That's leadership. It's not just about telling people what to do. It's about influencing results through people. And to influence results through people, you have to build relationships. And at the core of relationships, it's about building trust. So here's the mindset shift. When you become a leader, it's not about knowing it all. It's not about being perfect. It's about understanding that there is a gap. The gap between where you are today and where you want to be, those results. And that gap will always be there. And that's the mindset shift. That's the gap. It's understanding that the gap is always there. And even though you get that result today, now the finish line changes a little bit. It shifts. So now there's a new gap. And every time there's a gap, there's more progress that needs to be made. And leadership is about influence, but it's also about progress. So as a leader, if we're going to continually close the gap that's in front of us, we need to progress. So leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about progressing. It's about moving forward with clarity and taking the time and being humble enough to continue learning. If you want to close the gap, you need to have a leadership mindset.